Here is the clock, the Preston Street clock, telling the time, steadily, sensibly, never too quickly, never too slowly, telling the time for Faversham. Except this clock hasn't been working for ages, and no one seems to know who's responsible for it. Perhaps we should take a look at another Faversham clock. Here is another clock, the St Mary's Church clock, telling the time, steadily, hang on a second, this one's not working either. What is it with Faversham clocks? Don't any of them work? Maybe this chap can help. He's the gentleman who fixes the Guildhall clock. It emerged this week that Faversham's smallest man has been employed to maintain the Guildhall clock. Harry Crowe, who measures just 14 inches tall, has been setting a clock for 5 years now, as he explained to the Spire. It's been a family trade for centuries. An ancestor, Francis Crowe, built the clock in 1574, and he was just over 16 inches tall. We are always a short family. Crowe went on to explain that as the Guildhall hasn't been modified since 1574, the door leading to it hasn't changed either, so a regular-sized person in today's money wouldn't be able to access it. You have to remember that folk were a lot smaller back then, Crowe said. Even that old Ballard couldn't squeeze through the door to fix that clock. Bob Geldof, who once had a hit with Like Clockwork, said, "I wasn't even aware that the Guildhall had a clock. I tend to spend my time with my head down due to the weight of that hat that I wear."
A sign for Tassel Solicitors that was apparently stolen from outside their West Street offices has been found, outside of the house next door. The bizarre discovery was made by Tassel solicitor Arthur Barrow after browsing an antique sale being held outside a neighbouring property. Tassels have decided not to press charges. However, as Barrow explained, "We initially pressed charges and then she asked us to defend her. This left us with a bit of a dilemma, as defending someone who you press charges against would have the same effect as putting a humidifier and dehumidifier in the same room, so we dropped the charges. She actually did us a favour by stealing it," Barrow continued. "More people are killed by falling solicitor signs each year than are killed by sharks, but you wouldn't want to watch a film about it, would you?"
Son, you're fucking nicked.
Ha, you got it all wrong. I'm the milkman. I'm actually delivering the milk, so I am.
And that was the Average White Band with Pick Up the Pieces for the benefit of our younger viewers. And with me in the studio today is a man who wrote that very song, Hamish Stuart. How are you, Hamish?
I'm very well, thank you, Andy. Yes, it's good to be here. It's good to be anywhere.
It's good to be anywhere these days. It's good to be alive, that's for sure. Now, I understand you're releasing, or re-releasing I should say, Pick Up the Pieces. Could you explain to our listeners why?
Well, it took a while to figure it out. It was a very extensive rewrite of to highlight the dog poo problem.
The dog poo problem, which is massive in Faversham, yeah?
In the streets.
Yeah.
So it's now become Pick Up the Feces.
Pick Up the Feces, that's very good. And that's a worthy cause for sure. I like that. Is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners on this subject?
Well, I think, yeah, if your dog lays a cable in the street, pick up the feces.
Pick up the feces. You heard it here last. Spoken like a gentleman. Now, what are you up to now, Hamish?
Well, I've got to go, Andy. I've got to go and collect a friend
Okay.
who was happened to be born on March the 4th.
Oh, I see. So you're off to pick up the Pisces.
Spire FM.
Swale Borough Council linked to US drug giant in diarrhea allegation. The Spire can reveal that Swale Borough Council have authorised funds to reinstate the drinking fountain in the wreck. It was disconnected in 1996, but a leaked SBC email states that it could open again as early as September. Whereas some are celebrating the return of this iconic spring, there are allegations of a backhander deal between SBC and US drug giant Johnson & Johnson. An SWB source told us anyone who ever drank from that fountain in the 70s and 80s was laid up with the runs for days afterwards. Johnson & Johnson apparently caught wind of this and are now paying for the fountain to be reconnected. Whereas I can't prove any money has changed hands, J&J are the company that owns the license to make Imodium, which prevents diarrhea. You don't need to be a rocket surgeon to work out what's going on here. The allegation was given further weight when an Imodium lorry was seen dropping a heavy load around the back of Superdrug last Tuesday. A source at the Preston Street store said, "This is the largest delivery of Imodium ever. Someone obviously knows something that we don't."
The best remedy for diarrhea is half a dozen boiled eggs, actually.